Hello everybody. Today in the second video in ethical hacking training. Today we will discuss Module 2 Footprinting. Here are the objectives that we will cover during this video. First of all, we will define what is footprinting, what are the footprinting steps, and what are the tools used in footprinting, and finally we will discuss a flow diagram which displayed the cycle of the footprinting process. So the definition of footprinting is the process of gathering the blueprint of a particular system or a network and the devices that are attached to this network under consideration. So we have to know what are the IP ranges, for example, what are the IP ranges in the internal network or the external network or wireless network and so on. And actually it is the first step that a penetration tester uses to evaluate the security of the web application to get all the vulnerabilities and gather all information about the vulnerabilities on this target system or website. After footprinting, a penetration tester can understand what are the information that any hacker can get when trying to make a footprinting against our website or against our network. So it is good to understand the complete system before testing its modules. So in the footprinting, we have to gather as much information as we can, as we talked in the first video about the reconnaissance phase, and gathering as much information about the target to have a good picture and full picture about the target and start to understand what are the vulnerabilities and so on. So what are the steps for footprinting? It starts with the information gathering to start to get determining the range of the network, as I said, the internal network or the external network and wireless network and so on. Identifying the active hosts using different tools like network map, for example, to make a host discovery and know what are the active machines and start to scan these active machines and get all the vulnerabilities against these vulnerabilities, these hosts. Then identifying the open ports and access points to get all the vulnerabilities and start after that exploit these vulnerabilities. One of the most important information we have to gather at footprinting, which is operating system, because upon determining the operating system of the target systems or the target network, we can search for the common vulnerabilities for this version or this distro if it was Linux distribution of Linux operating system, and common vulnerabilities for different Windows versions like XP and 7, 10 and so on. Fingerprinting surfaces and the versions of each surface, and after that searching for the common vulnerabilities for these versions of this surface. And finally, we got a good map about the network and where if each server is found, what are the IP address of the DNS server, for example, what are the IP address for the DHCP and so on. To do so and to do a good footprinting, we have to use some tools. Following are the common set of tools used in footprinting, but not all the tools for sure that is used for footprinting. One of the first and most common tool, which is it is a website that query the databases to get some information about the registered users or a size of the internet resources such as domain name and IP address block. As we can see here in this picture, we have entered a specific domain, try to gather information and footprinting about this information about this domain. We got information about the registered, get information about the administrative contact, the technical contact, and so on. All this information we can, after that, analyze and start to make use of these informations. Then we can have got also the domain server is listed as well, the name service of this website. All this information can be used after that to exploit and start to hack the website. The second tool that we usually use in footprinting is network map. Network scanner created by Jordan Lloyd. It is very common and famous in penetration testing. Network map is used to discover hosts and surface. As we said, we have to determine first what are the live hosts and host discovery to start to scan and get all the vulnerabilities and surface running on this surface and to start to exploit this server, as we said. This is done by sending packets and analyzing the response of the host, and depending on the response of the host, we can detect the open ports and detect that it is up or not or down in this during the scan moment, and start to probe computer networks as well, and including host discovery and surface and operating system, as we said. Next, we will talk about the NS lookup, which is a network administration command line tools used for troubleshooting DNS and getting information about the DNS or the domain name system for sure, to obtain the mapping between domain name and IP address, which DNS, we all know that DNS server used for translating the domain names to IP address and vice versa. So we can use NS lookup to get all information about the DNS. It can help also to get more information about IP information like the MX record, which is refers to or reveals the IP of the main server, which is very important step to get to start after that enumerate the user names and email addresses for this network and so on. And also it is used to get the information about the IP addresses of the authoritative DNS server, because any organization have only one authoritative DNS server, which is responsible for answering the queries of the employees. So knowing information about that authoritative DNS server is very important to after that control the traffic of the employees and so on. The last tool we will talk about today, which is passive operating system fingerprinting, or BOF or P0F actually. It is a technique that analyzes the structure of the TCP/IP packet to determine the operating system and other configuration property. Then we can search for the common variables, as we said, for this operating system and start to exploit them. BOF or passive, meaning that it is passive, that there is no direct reaction with the target. So it is basically a forensic tool also to use, which can be used with doing forensics and on compromised system or a system under attack to get more information about the attack and get evidence about the attack and so on. Finally, we will talk about the flow diagram, how the footprinting cycle is going. We start with footprinting, as we said, to scan for the open hosts and or the live hosts, and start to get the surface information about the surface and ports open on these hosts. Then start to enumerate the users, as we said, if we got information about the MX or the mail server IP address, we can enumerate users or the database server event. We can enumerate users inside this network and so on. And according or to all of this, we can detect all the vulnerabilities found on this target network. We can start then hacking and exploitation phase, and repeat all these steps again to get more information. As we said, we have to gather as much information about the target as we can. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, you can contact us about on the Facebook group, Information Security Tutorials. Thank you.